Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to day 10 of Performance Management 15 days revision crash course. And we are with budgeting today. So, we are going to discuss the different types of budget, the purposes of budget, the behavioral aspects of budget, conflicting objectives while setting budget. So, one of the type of budget is participation. It could be top down or bottom up. Then incremental budgeting, zero based budgeting, rolling budget, activity-based budgeting, feed-forward control, selecting a budgetary system, incorporating risk and uncertainty. By the way, risk and uncertainty was we have covered it in day 9. Okay, beyond budgeting. So starting with the purpose of budget, the aim is to focus, to plan, to control, to communicate, coordinate, evaluate, motivate, authorize, and delegate task. Now, performance hierarchy is this. Okay, strategic planning. Whenever someone talks about strategic, the word strategic means it's long term. Okay, this looks at the whole organization and define the resource requirement. Next level we have second level below strategic planning is the middle level, which is tactical planning. It looks at the medium term. It looks things from the divisional or departmental level. The lowest is operational planning and is short term, often very detailed, and day to day activity, how it is planned, control falls under this department. And most budgeting activity falls in the operation planning level. Now we are moving on to this hierarchy. You can see the triangle. Top is the strategic, but the width is low there because not many people are there in that level who will be making decisions. Only very few key people. Then second, budgetary or tactical, the middle level, they work towards achieving their strategic plan. And the last one is day-to-day plan, is done in the operational level. Now, key issue, di dysfunctional behavior. Okay, dysfunctional behavior, sorry. Dysfunctional behavior. One goal congruence. Budgeting, we do budgeting so that everyone is aligned to one particular objective, goal congruence. But it can also be a dysfunctional behavior in the department. Okay, so it's an issue, right? You have to find a midway between these two rather than being at the extreme of this two. You have to solve this two issue. Next, budgetary slack. You might not utilize the budget. You might be needing more than what is budgeted or less. Both are not good. It's not a good plan. Management style, hop wood. Here, budget constraint. Okay, if there's a budget constraint, there's a short-term pressure to hit the budget. Okay, so budget constraint and short-term pressure to hit budget. Then profit conscious. If you are profit conscious, you will emphasize on the longer term company wide performance. Then non-accounting emphasize on non-financial aspect. Target setting and motivation. When you're setting a budget, you make sure that you set it at current achievable level. Okay. Most of the time, it is likely that you want to set it at the current achievable level. Whatever currently you are achieving, you want to set at that level. But remember, this is unlikely to motivate manager because they know they can easily achieve. What is there to motivate them? They will not improve also because they know they are able to achieve currently. Whatever they achieve, they can achieve it. But if you set your budget at that level, it can give you more accurate focused because you know what is working at that level. Next is known as aspiration budget. What is that is known as expectation budget, which is not so good. Better than that, we have aspiration budget. Aspiration budget means you are setting a level which exceed the current level achieved. This can motivate the manager if they can see that they can achieve it. But it can result in adverse variance also. We have covered variance in the previous lectures, right? Adverse variance if it is too difficult to achieve. Sometimes when you're setting it high, make sure you don't set the budget too high that no one can achieve it. Manage carefully in this area. Then for motivation purpose, An aspiration budget should be set slightly above the anticipated performance level. Whatever you're anticipating, slightly above that, not too much. This is to motivate. Now, conflicting objective of company will be different from division. So company versus division, division versus division, short term, individualism. Okay, so you have to be prepared to discuss this conflicting objective. Okay, and also in the particular situation, what type of budget might be most appropriate, and you should be knowing the pros and the cons of each budgeting technique that which we are going to cover right now. First one, participation budget. Advantages of this budget is it increases motivation because everyone is participating, right? That's why it can give better information, especially if you are in a fast moving or diverse business. It increases management's commitment and understanding because they are participating. Everyone in the organization is participating in setting that budget, top down or bottom up. So better communication is there. Also, senior managers can concentrate on strategy, leaving the budgeting to mid-level or lower level manager. Disadvantages on the other hand is senior managers might not like it. Why? If everyone is setting budget, they are losing that authority, that loss of control, right? They might not like it. Bad decisions from inexperienced manager. If you are giving everyone to make the decision, some inexperienced managers also would be there, which will be a bad decision. Budgets may not be in line with corporate objectives. Dysfunctional behavior. And if you make everyone participate, decision making is going to be slower and disputes can arise. You have to be prepared for it. And figures that are given by the junior managers may be subject to bias because they might try to give figure to impress or something that they can easily achieve, which is termed as budgetary slake. Okay. Now, next is incremental budget. The word incremental says incremental only, right? So we take the previous period's budget and with that we add or subtract the incremental amount. Maybe the inflation increase. So we'll add the inflation with the previous figure or any other known changes. This is easy actually to do that because we know the previous period's budget. So adding and subtracting is easier rather than entirely making the new budget again. It's a hard work and time takes, right? Especially this incremental budget is suitable for stable businesses where costs are not expected to change very drastically. Okay, so this should be a good cost control and limited discretionary cost. Not all the type of businesses incremental budget will suit. Advantages is quick and easy method. Assuming historic figures are acceptable, only you have to justify the increments. We are not going to go back and justify all the figure. Okay, only the incremental figure. Why this increased? For example, why this cost increased? Why fixed cost increased suddenly? Only that you have to justify. You might say we got more stores, more offices, more warehouses, more shops are leased, like that. Then disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? If you have any problem previously, it will come up this year also because you are taking the previous year figure and adding and deducting. So inefficiencies will come this year also, carried forward. Uneconomic activities will be continued still and it will go undetected also because we are assuming the previous figures are correct. Managers may unnecessarily spend to ensure that they get the same or the larger budget next year also. Third, zero-based budgeting. The word zero means everything starts from zero again, zero base. Okay, that means you don't expect the current activity to be continued to the next period. Every piece of expenditure you have to justify. Here, for this to work, you have to identify all the services and then you have to cost all the service. Okay, then you have to rank the decision packages in order of importance. Third, you have to identify the level of funding that will be allocated to the department. Fourth, use up the funds in order of the ranking until exhausted. Okay. So, for example, if you have resources, we know resources are limited. You might think where to allocate it in the service industry or in the public sector organization. Now, advantages is Unlike incremental, past error are eliminated because everything starts from zero again, fresh, new. Every department is given allocation of resources allocated among all the departments based on ranks. This leads to increased staff involvement because zero based everyone has to calculate. Change response to the changes in the business environment, and it makes you have the knowledge and the understanding of the cost behavior pattern. Okay. Disadvantages is short term benefit is emphasized over the long term goals. Then this budgeting can be too rigid and opportunities might not be embraced. Management skill required may not be present. Managers may feel demotivated because it's a very time consuming process and ranking activities is difficult. Coming to the rolling budget, the word rolling says you keep rolling it. Okay, so continuously you update the budget by adding another accounting period. You can add another month or a quarter when the earliest accounting period has expired. For example, Jan to December, you have created one budget for 12 months. As soon as you go to as soon Jan to December. So when you go to the next year Jan, your previous year Jan month got expired. Only 12 months you can take. So you start from Feb to next Feb again, then March to March, like that. So the previous 1 month goes off if you are taking it on a month basis. So you will be having 12 months, right? That the aim is to keep a tight control and have an accurate budget for the next 12 months. And this is suitable if accurate focus cannot be made or any area of business that needs tight control. Rolling budget is suitable. Activity based. Step one, you have to go through certain steps for this type of budgeting, okay? Like how we went through activity based accounting. You identify cost pool and cost driver. Step 2, calculate a budgeted cost driver rate based on budgeted cost and budgeted activity. Step 3, produce a budget for each department by multiplying the budgeted cost driver rate by expected usage. And okay, these are the 3 steps. Advantages. You can understand overheads better. You can control overheads better. You can use a TQM, that is total quality management. Then disadvantages is to establish ABB system is not easy, extra time and effort is required. And problem with this system is linking the activity based activity to establish responsibility center, whether it is cost center, profit center, investment center, it's difficult. Then short term overheads might not be controllable and they do not vary with the changes in the volume of the activity for the cost driver, because we want to find how activity varies with how cost varies with the activity. Sometimes they are not directly linked, so it's difficult. Feed forward control. Feed forward means focusing of differences between actual and plan outcomes and the implementation of actions before the event. You are implementing the actions before the event took place. You understanding? So that this difference you avoid. In simpler terms, okay, you identify a problem and before the problem actually occurs, you start taking corrective action. An example would be cash flow focused. Okay, so you predict that there's going to be a funding problem, cash outflow is going to be more than cash inflow, so in advance only you start preparing for a higher overdraft. That's good, right? That's good. If any problem occurs, you are ready with your overdraft well in advance. Now feed forward control, this is how it looks. Okay, first line you can see budget for 2009, then sales to date is lower than that. So you see there's a gap between the sales to date used to focus and budget for 2009. So you take action now to close this gap. Okay. Now, advantages is managers become proactive. Before the problem occurs, they find the solution. Second advantage is you can refocus on monthly or a continuous basis and this can save time. when it comes to completing a so rather than completing your budget on quarterly or annual basis, monthly or continuously, you are refocusing your budget. It's good. It saves time. Disadvantages is time consuming. Regularly you have to produce this kind of reports. It's time consuming. And to do this kind of forecasting, you need sophisticated forecasting system. Expensive. Now, selecting a budgetary system depends on the determinant. It depends on the type of organization, type of industry you're operating at, type of product and product range, culture of the organization. Okay. Factors to consider when changing a budgetary system. You have to see that when you're changing a budgetary system, do you have suitably trained staff who can implement this change successfully? Next, will changing the system take up management time which they can focus on production or sales? Third, all the staff that is involved in that budgetary process needs to be trained. Then you have to see the cost versus benefit. If benefit is more, go ahead with the new system, otherwise don't. So here cost will be like training cost, downtime cost of see when existing staff are being trained, there's going to be some downtime. They're not able to produce or sell. That is known as downtime. Okay. Consultancy fee. Sometimes you have to consult specialist to give some lectures or advise you how to go around with the system. So you have to pay them a huge amount of fee. And you have to develop new statistical model also to get the sources of information. Benefits can be difficult to quantify. Cost we know, but benefit it is quite difficult to quantify. So as a result, what happens? Often after seeing the cost and benefit is difficult to quantify, organizations think it's better to stay with the suboptimal system. Even though going to new system would be more better, more optimal, they still decide to go with the current system, which is not so optimal, suboptimal you can say. Okay. Now incorporating risk and uncertainty. Okay. Rolling budget, simulation, sensitivity analysis. Through this, you can incorporate risk and uncertainty into the picture. Simulation and sensitivity analysis I've covered in my previous, that is day 9, when we discussed risk and uncertainty. Okay. Rolling budget we have covered here. Now beyond budgeting. So we are going to go through the difference between traditional budgeting and beyond budgeting management model. And we are going to take 4 areas. First one is target and reward. We'll see how it's different. Earlier we used budgeting, okay, to fix an incentive, fixed incentives and an incremental target. We put some target. For example, let's say we have achieved a certain kind of target. We have achieved 5% of sales. We want to increase our sales by 5%. We have achieved it. Next year we'll put 6% or 7% like that. So incremental target and fixed incentive. Now we use it to stretch our goals, and the targets and rewards are relative. They're not fixed. Then for planning and control, before we control through variance. For example, we go and inspect those areas where variances are huge. We try to identify reasons and try to control expenses in that area, cost. And also fixed annual plan. Annually we plan it and it's fixed. Before, traditional ways. Now planning are continuous. We use KPIs, that is key performance indicator, to control and rolling budget. Then before, resources were pre-allocated and one person controls everything. That's why central coordination. Now it's opposite. Resources are on demand and dynamic coordination. Every department will coordinate. Finance department will design their own budget. Sales department will design their own budget. Then they will coordinate among themselves. Earlier it was one person deciding the entire budget and then will allocate to the different departments. Now scenario changed. Organizational culture wise, control was one person controlling the entire team, central control. So earlier, like traditional budgeting, focus was on managing the number. For example, I've taken my budget is to spend only $10,000 to buy a machinery. I only have to spend 10,000. I just have to manage the number. Even if I can get the same machine in 5,000 and save another 5,000, right? Still, I will spend 10,000 because I've been given the budget. Now, beyond budgeting, okay, local control of plan. Every department is controlling their own department because they know better what's working and not working. Okay. Then focus is not on managing number. It is to see whether value is created or not. If value is created, we'll spend. Okay. So value creation. So questions are LRA, Corp company, static company, and then zero based budgeting. Yumi, thank you for watching, and I shall see you in day 11 with a new topic. And till then, make sure that you watch my previous days. If you have missed any, you can get it on my playlist PM 15-day revision crash course. You can also download the slides. All you need to do is go to the end of my channel about section and scroll down and click PM revision crash course. You can download all the slides. Thank you and take care.